One of Asha's perhaps underappreciated songs. It's a favorite of mine, despite the bleakness of the subject matter in that song. And I thought it would be a perfect foreshadowing to what we're discussing this morning. In that song, Asha sings of how if the land is not fruitful, well, I'm translating sweet as she literally says to fruitful. If the land is not fruitful, then we're the ones who know how we mismanaged it. We're the ones who know how we got to this point. She sings of a time when what is shilling?
Shilling.
1 shilling. Is that the equivalent of 1 naira?
Then.
Okay. So she sings of how 1 shilling would buy food stuff for the entire family, that the father would eat, the mother would eat, the child would eat, and there would be surplus. There would be leftover for the entire family. She speaks of a time when Gary was cheap, groundnut was cheap, but ironically, Boyga and I were discussing how at the time Asha sang the song, Gary was definitely nowhere near what it costs now. It was somewhere within the range of 100 naira to about 150, but now we know that Gary is 500 naira on a good day. So she speaks of a time when the dollar was worth less than the naira, where the naira was valued more. And now the naira is definitely less valuable than the dollar. And as I said, it's a perfect foreshadowing to what we're discussing this morning as issue of the day. But I get ahead of myself. This is Panorama on the Integrity Station, Splash 106.7 FM. A good morning to you. Thank you for joining us once again. It's Tuesday, the second day running. Panorama airs every weekday from Monday to Friday. And we'll start off with our issue of the day. But we'll take an introspective look at a subject that concerns us all. And at 9, we'll then take you through the newspapers, browse through the headlines, bring you the scoop on some of the stories. But all of that is still to come at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, there are several ways you can participate. If you're listening, as you're listening, you're already participating. But you can go one step further by joining our Facebook platform, where you can follow us and then watch the live stream that we have on there. You can also drop a comment in the comment section at any point during the conversation. On WhatsApp, we are 0817-555-1067. My name is Lola Meduteni. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining Panorama today. My name is Buyika Olani. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the program today.
You have likely heard or perhaps witnessed for yourself a time when the naira was said to equal the dollar and even surpass it. In the 70s to early 80s, the naira exchanged for something like 55 kobo to $1. How then did we go from 55 kobo equaling $1 to 545 naira equaling $1 in parallel markets? All within the space of less than 30 years.
Exactly a week ago, a certain meme was circulating on social media. The content of said meme read that on 7th September 1980, $1,000 was 546 naira. And today, same day, 7th September 2021, $1 is 546 naira. We have gone full circle.
How did we bungle things so badly and weaken the naira to this point? An all-time low that economic experts are projecting might even go lower. As issue of the day this morning, join us in taking a microscopic look at the continued depreciation of the once great Nigerian naira, as well as hopes for its resuscitation. To have that conversation with us this morning is TUNJI GBESAN, who is a financial and economic expert. Good morning, TUNJI.
Good morning, Lola. Good morning, Boyega. Good morning, listeners.
All right then, TUNJI, perhaps maybe what you know of how we got to this point. I've got this information collated from the Central Bank of Nigeria. It basically highlights the trajectory of the naira, the journey of the naira from 0 naira 55 kobo in 1980, as I mentioned, to, well, the official rate is 410 naira 47 kobo. How did we get to that point? Let me see. From this long list, I can see the naira going to 0.76 naira. 0.76 naira, 2.02 naira, 9.91 naira. Well, the one that I can remember, because I was old enough at that point, is about 131 naira for $1. And now that was in 2005. And now, 16 years later, we've got like a 200% or even more increase. How did we go from that to this?
All right, so I think the answer is very simple and straightforward, right? When a nation becomes import dependent, there's no how the currency of that country will not be weakened. Now, so if you check back from 1980 till date, right, you see that we moved from a place where there was a lot of export in the country, agricultural export and the likes, into depending solely on oil. And that shows the genesis of our problem as a nation. So whatever could fetch us foreign exchange into the country, we literally stopped doing it. And then we started depending largely on just one source of forex, majorly one source of forex, which is crude oil. And that marked the commencement of our problem. And I mean, it is something that when people are now beginning to lament in 2021, it's something everybody had seen as far back as 1990, that this was going to happen. I mean, the basis is very simple. To strengthen your own currency, it means that your currency must have very high purchasing power. It means that people are buying products and services from your own country. It means that there's a lot of foreign direct investment into your country, which also strengthens your own currency. But in our own case, we are taking all our money abroad. We are taking whatever we are generating here abroad. It means that we are weakening our own currency at the expense of the foreign currency we are using to purchase. And of course, everything we buy in Nigeria, including raw materials for production of stuff made in Nigeria, is dependent on something imported from one part of the world or the other. So there's no way our currency would not be weakened. So it's something we should have seen as far back as 1980, 1999.
But I can see the common man saying perhaps that, how does the exchange rate, how does forex really affect me? I mean, I don't buy anything in dollars. I don't travel outside the country. So why should I be concerned about the fact that a dollar is trading for about 412 naira?
So I mean, let's take the most common example that I think it's equal to everybody, whether you are rich or you are poor, which is Gary.
Right.
Now, for the production of Gary, there's a lot of stuff that comes into play. So agricultural inputs, for example, to get some of the best agricultural inputs for production, you need to get it from outside the country. So the man at Kila village or at Odeda who plants cassava needs to go somewhere to buy the inputs. He needs to buy fertilizers. The producers of those fertilizers most likely must have imported from one country or other either of the elements used in producing it. So the price difference will be spread across broad. So the man might not be a direct beneficiary of the foreign exchange power, right? But he indirectly also pays part of it. I mean, so check everything we buy, and let's be very sincere with ourselves. As little as your children going to school and buying pencils, it is actually dependent on forex. I mean, there was a joke sometimes ago that we import toothpick in Nigeria. So if all these things are export dependent, then either as a trader or as a consumer, it affects you. And that's why, we usually say this joke a lot. If once there's an hike in FX, once the prices change, even the price of the tomatoes you buy at Tomida changes. The prices of everything you buy changes. And they tell you it is FX because they might not be direct beneficiaries of those increases, but indirectly
Somehow.
it still comes to them.
Let's talk about policies and the part that policies play in all of this. It's over time, the CBN wake up and come up with certain policies. We still have one recently about BDCs and banks and what have you. At some point as well, forest restrictions on some commodities, some raw materials to stimulate, according to why the policies are being put in place, to stimulate local production. Do you think these policies some have accused the government of some assaulting policies, but do you think these policies are good enough, or why do you think these policies do not seem to be working?
I think I would always maintain that what I think the CBN does a lot of time is reactionary policies. So there is something going on in the market, and then we quickly implement policies to react to whatever is happening. We do not formulate policies strategically, right? So, for example, the ban on BDCs just came about because they felt like they were dictating the pace at which the market was going, and then they were making a lot of money from it. It was not an issue that, it was not strategic in any way, right? So, check most of their FX restriction, banning some product from accessing FX. All these things are reactionary. Remember that there was also a time they actually clamped down on some betting companies and said, they were conduits for illegal movement of funds out of the country and up. All these things are reactionary. I think the truth is we need the CBN and the economic expert managing the economy of the country to really sit down and address the critical issue. Even to a layman, everyone understands that you can only earn money when people are purchasing stuff from you. So the BDCs in themselves, yes, to some extent, culpable, but they are not the real problem. So we really need to sit down and say, okay, what kind of policies do we want to formulate in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? What do we need to be looking at? So a lot of people focus on the USD a lot of time, but US is not just the only currency. Check against the British pound. Check against the euro. It is the same thing, right? But it is because a lot of people transact a lot in USD. That's why it seems as if there's a lot of... the pounds is higher than USD. Euro is higher than USD. So it's a lot. But I think what the CBN needs to be doing in terms of policy is to sit down with every key player in the economy and say, we need to draw up an economic recovery plan for the country and say, this is where we are going in the next 5 years. This is where we are going in the next 10 years. And this is how we will achieve it. We want the economy to be export dependent. It's not something that will happen in a year. It's not something that will happen in 2 years. What this means is we must be ready to make some sort of availability to funds. Funds readily available to producers. We must actually enter into some sort of public partnership to drive these people. So a lot of people will not depend on export. Now, I can also tell you that a lot of policies being made by this government indirectly strengthens the FX. So, for example, sometimes ago, the borders were shut and because they didn't want importation of some goods, right? But unfortunately, what they didn't realize is Nigerians, right? One, local production is not at par with import. So a lot of people cannot even readily access local goods. Now also, some of these local goods are even more expensive because by the time you put into consideration the cost of production, so someone that has a rice farm has to get security, has to perhaps have his own generator or solar power. And a lot of other factors go into this production. So by the time the final output is ready, the cost is relatively higher than even those imported ones. Now the borders has been shut. Before now, it was easy passage. People could readily bring these things in. Now, but when the borders have been shut, it becomes a smuggling game. And then because of the entire stress in smuggling these things into the country, those guys also shoot up the prices. Now you can see the relation between shutting the borders, policies, and the pricing of goods in the country, right? So a lot of times I wish they can actually sit down and then create a phased process and say, okay, within the space of time, this is what we will do. We will support local production. However, it will run at about 70-30. So we will still allow 30% importation, but we will allow 70% importation over the next 2 or 3 years. And then over the next 5 years, we will shut it down completely. In the next 7 years, we will begin massive exportation of this product. We would have a complete switch to agriculture. I mean, we've been hearing everybody want to switch to agriculture since as far back as 1999. Nothing concrete has happened. Go and check all the cocoa processing plants in Nigeria. They are still where they are. I mean, so it's just a lot. We keep hearing policies without key drivers. And there's no way we can get out of this mess if we don't have strategic planning. I keep saying it. The handlers of this country, the economic policy formulators, are all reactionary, including the CBN. Something happens and then we go after and say, oh, we are trying to implement this. And then after, now there was a policy around BDCs being stopped from accessing FX from the official window and then being taken to bank. Who has actually monitored the implementation? I know people that have gone to bank and they've not been able to access this. What is the reporting channel? People are still getting funds from the parallel market, and that will keep strengthening the parallel entire market, makes it more complicated, creates more chaos in the market, and then they start thinking of what next to do.
Right. Okay, we're still going to talk some more about that ban of or barring of sale of forex to bureau de change operators across the country. That happened at the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting on 27th July this year. But I want us to examine another one of the CBN's policies. A couple of months ago as well, the CBN devalued the naira. Now, from my layman understanding of devaluation, which I got, by the way, from Investopedia, it is said to be the deliberate downward adjustment of the value of a country's money relative to another currency. And at first I was a little surprised. I'm not an economist, but I was a little surprised at, the meaning of the term, because I was thinking, why would any country deliberately choose to devalue its currency? I thought devaluation and depreciation were the same thing, but apparently devaluation is deliberate from the government. Now, tell us of the benefits, why the CBN would choose to undergo such a measure, choose to deliberately weaken its own currency. Are there any benefits?
So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible.
Please
without complicating it. So I think what really they were trying to do is to say, for a very long time, right, they kept the official rate at about 360. Now, so it's just the same way you go to the market, right, and then someone has an old stock of goods, right, that he actually bought about 3-4 months ago at lower rate, and then someone has new stock that he bought at higher rate. Now, in the market, everybody would readily go to the person with the lower rate. Now, what this other person has an option to do is to also bring down the rate to attract customers. So, in that case, that is what the CBN had tried to do. To say, we think our currency is not that attractive to people because we think the exchange rate is high. So, let's deliberately bring it down in comparison to other currencies, so that we can actually attract more people into the country. Now, if you also look at the price of oil, crude, and the likes, right, the prices have actually dipped a bit. So what they did was to say, okay, let's bring it down and see if we can attract more people deliberately into the country. And for me, right, I feel like it is the right thing to do, but it was done pretty late. It was done pretty late. So when we look at our currency vis-a-vis a lot of other countries, right, we are really so look at Ghana, for example, look at South Africa, look at countries like Rwanda, Kenya, and check what they are doing in terms of economic growth. You see that it's deliberate. We have this undue sense of pride as a country when we are really not putting anything major out. So that move, yes, is good, but it came out pretty late. I mean, we've been talking about devaluation as far back as 2019. Because we just looked at, when you check all the indices, there's no way we can match. And CBN was living in illusion, thinking they were going to be able to perform some magic to be able to match up. Do you understand? And this was even at a time when we had some sort of traction in the FX, in the FDI window, right? And it also affects FDI. So the way it works is simple. People outside, they want to bring their funds into this country, right? By the time they check the currency exchange and the value they will get, if it is not measurable, they would not do business. So I'd rather take my $1 million to Ghana or to Rwanda where by the time I convert it and I make business, I make a lot of money. Then bring it to Nigeria, where I have to literally pay for every other thing and still not make money. So I mean, I saw a thread on Twitter sometimes ago, and the person was saying, if you bring about $1 million to Nigeria, really, and you convert it to naira, and by the time you are done doing business, you cannot make profit, and you want to convert it back to your own currency, you cannot. Really. So these were all the issues that people saw, and they were making us at sea stop living in illusion and saying, oh, we can do it, we can strengthen the naira. It won't happen. So we should have done this devaluation years back. And I think by now, right, we would have been able to attract a lot of FDI into the country, strengthen the FX base of the country, and then also now begin to reshape the naira to be stronger. So yes, it's good, but we are doing it pretty late.
Another concern for many would be how much really comes in the country. At the point, the CBN also said for every $1 you bring into the country as remittance, you get 5 naira. This is also another policy that the Central Bank of Nigeria is trying to put in place to ensure that people bring FX into the country. But I'm not sure if this has done anything. Just before we started the show, you were telling us what a dollar to a naira is now, as at this morning. So all of these policies, they keep coming out, but we hardly see how it affects. And now with Dangote trying to come upstream, with the federal government trying to fix some refineries as well, trying to rehabilitate them, do you think that if all of these come on stream and we do not depend a lot on import as regards oil products, would it in a way also help in this regard?
So I mean, I was quickly trying to check something. So diaspora remittances into Nigeria fell by 24% in Q1 2021. 24%. Very indicative. It's either of two things. People are not ready to bring their money into this country for business or for investment generally. So we can also see, right, if you follow the news, you can see the way people are packing up businesses in Nigeria and moving to other parts of Africa. Now, all this is actually indicative, and then it will keep it will keep making our FDI reports drop and our forex availability drop. Because, maybe people need to also understand that the way FX comes into the country is when people pay for whatever you are offering in the country with FX, or they bring money into the country to invest. Right. So if all that is not happening, if you're not producing anything major, we can't get it. So going to Dangote's story, right? Now, if you also follow his own story, there's actually a ratio to be sold to Nigeria and outside the country, right? So if you also check that, it might not be the total cure, really, because over a period of time, I also expect that his own production capacity will thin out. He might also have to get to the point where you have to import crude, process, and then sell out. We really don't know how it's going to work yet, because there are reports that the oil wells are drying up and the like. So there's a lot of issues here and there. But really, I think one thing we really need to start looking at is we need to make the country very attractive for foreign investors. If we must strengthen the naira, we must make it very, very, very attractive. Because, so take for example, I'll tell you something I know about how some of these guys abroad now remit, because they understand how the black market works. I was just telling you that it's going to get to 550 as at this morning, and when I checked on Aboki FX, it was 550. Now this is how it works. Somebody abroad needs to send money home. If it sends through the official window, right, or even sends it into a USD account, and the person needs to withdraw in the bank, or the person gets 460 thereabout, right? But if he decides to sell from where he's in America and get his naira account credited, it sells at 550. 550 minus 460. That's a lot of money. That's about 90 naira difference. That person, if he consistently does that every month, makes a lot of money. So what will he rather do? He would rather look for an organization in Nigeria that needs USD and say, guys, I can sell you USD. Just give me an account of credit wherever you want to credit in the world. We will credit it. Credit my naira account. And then they credit his naira account. He wants to disburse to his family members. He wants to start a business. They take from his naira account. Luckily now, you can actually have a naira account and be in any part of the world, use your internet banking to move money around. So the funds that are supposed to come in terms of FX into the country has actually flown to other part, and then what we keep having is naira. So except it becomes very attractive. I said it when CBN started remit $1 and get 5 naira. Nobody does that in the same part of the world. I mean, who does that? The process for even getting remittances is tedious. A friend called me last week and said he went to one bank. He wanted to withdraw 30,000 USD. He had to go to about 5 branches. And then this branch will call, oh, we have 5,000, yeah, come and take it. We have 3,000, come and take it. And the 5 branches have to come together to pay out 30,000 USD. So this person will rather sell his money outside the shores at black market rates than keep in the country. So all these issues are pertinent.
This government also has a ease of doing business, policy, which has been championed by the vice president as well. All put in place to attract FDI. Are you saying
now I do not like to talk about the ease of doing business, because in the real sense of it, we all know it's just paperwork. Let's be real with ourselves. How easy is it for people to do business in Nigeria? I mean, you people run a station here. You know how much it costs for you guys to keep this place up and running if there's no light. So really, right, people, I know people that have shut down their farms in the last 8 months. Completely shut down. Why? At different points, it was either on the farm destroying their crops, or there was a kidnap attempt on their farm side, or when they have losses and then they have to go to their insurance companies, those ones will tell them that X and YZ is not included, or it takes a lot of time to do payouts and all. So it's actually frustrating. So when we keep championing this ease of doing business, I ask the pertinent questions. For people that are already in business, how easy is it for them? And people, see, the world is now a global village. You know what it is when people tweet about the experiences of doing business in Nigeria, and then a lot of people come to read it. It scares people. And we don't see, unfortunately, right, we do not even know how to manage our crisis. We don't. I mean, take a critical look at it. Do you know how many companies have exited Nigeria in the last 8 months? So when it comes to ease of doing business, it looks all so sweet on paper, but in reality, I keep saying it, SMEs can drive the economy of this country, but these guys are completely neglected. I know, do you know how many SMEs in Abeokuta have shut down in the last month? To get loans in banks is difficult. Go to the so-called Nisal Bank, it is difficult. It is a function of who knows who. These people will have to most likely run on generators all day to keep being in business. Right? So all these indices are against them. People have their shops being burgled. You make an official complaint at the police station, you need to pay somebody before you can get attended to. So a foreigner in the United States, for example, sees all this happening, and then you expect the person to bring in their money. Let me also tell you that where we thought we had seen some sort of hope was in the tech industry, with the way these guys were actually getting grants and raising funds. But you also know that a lot of these tech founders are moving to other countries. Now, I know people that are setting up branches of their tech spaces in Rwanda, in Kenya. You know the reason? The country wakes up one day and then you start a policy that completely crashes the businesses of these people. And CBN was somewhere all this while when these fintechs were operating. All of a sudden, there was really no conversation with them. And then you go on clamping them down. These guys would rather move their businesses to where it's more friendly. So we are just a nation where we like to do a lot of photo ops. We like to make noise about, oh, this is what we are doing. But in the real sense, we are not doing anything. And it is disheartening.
Right. I want to come back to the discontinuation of sale of forex to bureau de change operators across the country that happened on the 27th of July 2021. It led to increased forex demand pressure as banks appeared to be rationing the dollars. But that's not all. In 2016, the CBN did a similar thing. Actually, the CBN did the same thing in 2016. At that time, the CBN in January 2016 also suspended the sale of dollar to BDCs over a similar allegation of racketeering, asking commercial banks, just like it did this year, to take up the responsibility of facilitating forex sales to Nigerians in need of forex. And just like it appears to be doing this year, that decision failed as insufficient forex supply to banks from CBN and customers' apathy to banks' cumbersome process kept the demand pressure at the parallel market elevated. So all in all, what this led to was a 40% depreciation in the national currency in 2016. And even right now, we've got investment firms also saying that a similar scenario might play out this year as well. It didn't just lead to a 40% depreciation in the national currency, it also led to a 16.6% inflation rise in 2016. The CBN eventually, of course, reverted this decision, but by that time, there had already been this 40% depreciation as well as a 16.6% inflation rise. So we're seeing that, we do things, we make mistakes, but we don't appear to learn from them. But that's not the question I was going to ask. I just put that as an aside. The CBN also says that on the 1st of October this year, and households longing for faster means of transaction settlement. And the CBN is not the only apex bank in a country to have a measure like this. There are over 70 central banks across the world that are currently considering one central bank digital currency or the other. And so far, only 5 of them have so far launched theirs. Plus, El Salvador recently adopted Bitcoin as a means of legal tender. By the way, Bitcoin that is banned in Nigeria. In listing out the benefits of this e-naira that is to be rolled out on the 1st of October, the CBN governor said it will promote faster cross-border transactions, accelerated financial inclusion, cheaper and faster remittance inflows. There are a bunch of other stuff, that he lists as the pros of this. But what I want to ask regarding this is this yet another bad fiscal policy rollout, one that is not thought out, especially considering the time frame? Apparently, this idea has been in the works since 2017, but coincidence that it's also happening around the same time that the cryptocurrency was banned in Nigeria. So is this a bad fiscal policy rollout, or is this innovative? How does it differ, this digital currency that the government wants to launch, from the cryptocurrency which the same government banned? I mean, I understand that cryptocurrency is decentralized and this one would be within the control of the CBN. But how does it really differ? How does it also differ from electronic transfers that we're already used to? And is this enough time? Because it appears to be accelerated within the space of a year. Is this enough time for this to fully function and not be a flop just as soon as it hits the ground?
Okay. So I'm trying to see where I should start from, right? So I had said on another media platform where we extensively discussed this, that the CBN likes to always give an option after they had actually gone against something. Mm-hmm. So it was not a direct ban on crypto, right? But I mean, what they tried doing was to frustrate every avenue of crypto becoming very popular in Nigeria.
I mean, they asked banks to suspend accounts that traded in crypto.
So, they don't have direct oversight on cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. So they just have to look for those that they can hold, which is actually...
Okay.
So tell the banks, don't have anything to do with anybody trading cryptocurrency directly. If you see them, close their account. If whatever it is, report them. So they didn't say, oh, don't trade cryptocurrency. Do it at your own risk. But our own regulated partners, we will not allow them help you facilitate this. So I mean, that's actually the true position of things, right? Because I mean, I hear a lot of people say, oh, they've banned cryptocurrency. They've not, and they can't.
Because it's decentralized.
Because it is decentralized. So you can't ban something that you don't have central control over.
But to the extent that they can, they banned it.
Well, to the best of their ability, they frustrated the use of cryptocurrency.
All right.
Right. So, but then on naira, I keep saying it. The CBN is always reactionary. Cryptocurrency was becoming very popular in Nigeria. Very, very popular. It was already being adopted. I know that in some part of Lagos, there are cryptocurrency stands and ATMs in some parts of Lagos. Yes. And people are already building facilities to encourage the adoption of cryptocurrency. Now, so CBN became threatened by this because, of course, it's going to literally mean that they would lose control of what happens in the economy. Everybody, so you cannot make policies around a decentralized means of exchange.
Right.
There are hotels in Lagos that accept cryptocurrency. So you just walk there, they give you their wallet and you make payments. There are organizations that allow, in Nigeria, I'm not saying outside Nigeria, right? So you cannot. So what they are thought of, and I keep saying it, is just let's give them an option that can rival whatever they have, right? But unfortunately, I have said this, good move, but bad timing. Good move, but bad timing. Yes, it's been in the pipeline since 2017, so they said, right? A lot of countries, even the United States, is yet to adopt digital currency.
Right.
Because there's a lot of legislation ongoing about it. Now, all of a sudden, we want to adopt. And the real questions I'm asking is, are we matured enough to handle this? This is a country where your ordinary account in a Nigerian bank is threatened. That is despite the fact that it is still some sort of, there's a lot of physical interaction. So you take your money to the bank and you pay into your account, so you know that sort of you have money. So even if anything, there's money somewhere, right? And it's still threatened. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Special Fraud Unit of the Nigerian Police Force had a meeting with compliance officers and chief internal auditors of banks. Raising alarm on how unsecure some of their platforms are. People get swindled of their monies on a daily basis in this part of the world. Now, we are now saying we want to transition. This is also a country where we have less than 64% inclusion, financial inclusion in this country. Digital literacy is less than 40%. We are now spending a lot. See, for me, I always look at the cost and the benefits side of it.
Right.
We are spending a lot of money to now integrate naira into what we are doing. The cyber architecture, security architecture, we do not have it. Key stakeholders were not carried along. Because I did a lot of research about this. I know that some of these guys in the fintech space, championing the fintech, they were not even aware. So everybody just read it online the same way we all read it.
Right.
So people were not carried along. And then we are now taking this out to another country, to another company in Barbados. So there's just a lot.
Okay.
naira in itself is good because it makes payments easy. It makes the amount of money we spend on printing currency reduce. So it has its own benefits. So it also encourages trans-border transaction. All you need is for you to have a wallet somewhere, and I can directly credit your wallet.
Right.
So we don't have to go through the process of I need to have an account, I need to get Swift code, no, it's just a wallet-to-wallet transaction, right? But then we are not yet ready for it.
Okay.
There's a lot to put in place.
All right, let's open phone lines now. We're talking the falling value of the naira, and maybe we'll squeeze in this question of where we're still headed. You know, things do appear dire now with how high a dollar for naira transaction is, but we're going to perhaps look at if we have hopes for the future. In the meantime, if you want to wade in on the conversation, the number to call is 0817-444-1067. You can also call the numbers 0704-400-1067 and 0817-555-1067. That is also the WhatsApp number, 0817-555-1067. If you missed it, Facebook was Splash FM 106.7. We have been discussing with TUNJI GBESAN, who is an economic and financial expert. Let us know if you were around to witness a time when indeed the dollar was the equivalent of a naira, or a naira was the equivalent of a dollar. Wait, were you alive at that time? Were you?
No.
Tunji,
No.
were you alive?
How was it though?
Hello, good
Hello,
morning.
good morning.
Hello, good morning. Nicholas on the line.
All right, Nicholas, go ahead, please.
The layman on the street might not understand what is fiscal discipline, stimulus package, GDP, SPI. But when a housewife goes to the market to buy panla, and the price of panla now is not the price of sardine, and she's forced to now buy some more and smoke crayfish to do her the last, then there's a crisis somewhere. If I want to go and watch AC Milan Liverpool this night, and the Onile tells me it is now 150 from 100, I know that there's something wrong. And if a man is coming back from work and wants to just take a bottle of beer at 250, and it is now 350, you know that something is wrong. You see, your guest, Soludo brought a redomination policy. But those who wanted us to use 100 as a cutoff mark over 400, those who wanted us now to ban English and math as non-requirement for NECO, they killed that idea. If you have time, explain that idea to the world. You don't change an economy by arresting youth. You engage them. But those who are importing the generators in this country are benefiting from the darkness in this country. And development is run by infrastructure. Infrastructure is run by men, not by the Holy Spirit. Those who have shares in the refineries abroad are benefiting from this dollar crash down. So even if you build a refinery in Ibeshe, in Kaduna or in Port Harcourt, they know that they will make it not fail and go moribund. I want to say something that youth, even in a recession, youth should not be idle. You can even make them dig a well and pay them for refilling the well. Then we are not surprised that Yahoo boys are everywhere. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a nice
you,
day
Nicholas.
yourself, Nicholas. Thank you for calling.
There's a question here on WhatsApp. Says, good morning. I want to appreciate our guest. Please, would you see any green light in the tunnel with the current economic policy on ground, despite the high increase in all goods virtually every day? However, what would you do different if you find yourself at the ends of affairs? Ishaya Tunde from Bodiolude Abeokuta. Putting you on the spot there.
Okay, so like I said just before we went on here, for people that are very familiar with charts, right? We need to get to an all-time high, and then things will begin to retrace. It looks like a very bad news, but it will happen, right? But however, retracing has to come with a lot of guided measures. So there have to be very strong economic policies to guide that retracing to get to the point where we get. See, as
And
far
are you
back,
confident of the government's ability to have this guided
well,
approach?
I've really never been confident about Nigerian government, really, so I won't say so. But then, of course, with a lot of involvement now, with a lot of young persons getting interested, I strongly believe that if we have the right set of young people trying to propel the political affairs of this country, we might get there.
Okay.
We might get there.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Afolabi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
Yes,
Afolabi.
Afolabi is my name. I'm calling from Abeokuta here.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Thanks to the analyst in the studio. Yes, I want to say again that Nigeria has a lot of good policies, and the human intelligence to draw up good policies. But the only problem is the political will to enforce those policies, and at the right time. So, for instance, look at what has been bedeviling the petroleum industry over the years. Until now that they now came up with that EIC. So, we discover that most of the time, they know things are wrong. They don't want to do it. They don't want it to, be in the right places so that the average masses will benefit from it, because everything is centered around our politicians. So I think that is one of the major issues I'm seeing. Then about this inflation thing, the more we don't encourage local goods, the more we don't encourage exportation of goods, the more we depend on importation. We continue to be in this kind of situation. They know all these things. We have various economics, just like you that are in the studio. But they will not, take to your advices because it won't pay them. So what I see here is political will to do things right is the major problem we are facing. Then the youth development is also very important. But I can tell you, youth of today, they are not ready to do any good job or any good work. They want quick money just because they know the people that are at the top, that is the way they do things. So we have to work around all these things. And I believe by this, it's a help. I can recollect during the 80s, things were not like this. The naira was very strong during the 80s. In fact, most people doesn't want to travel abroad because things are very good then. You eat, you get your stomach filled, and good things. And everything was fine. So government should do the needful. Politicians should have a change of heart and put the part of this, put this country in the path of development and what we pray for as a country. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Afolabi, for your contribution. Quite a number of messages here. We can still take one or two more calls as well. Edward Bayomi said, I understand that the president has a retinue of aides on the economy. The CBN itself is also manned by people with fabulous experience in economics, which ordinarily should be experienced enough to understand what the guest is saying. My question is, why are we still in these woes? Is it a lack of political will or a deliberate sabotage to butter the breads of some people? Edward Bayomi there.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you from Agbon.
Tajuddin, thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
You're welcome. Please, I have just two questions. One is one question that I've always asked. Which of the sectors in Nigeria is actually working as expected? Is there any sector in Nigeria that is working? I can say yes, there is. That is one. Then secondly, who are the people making these policies in Nigeria? Because we will discover that we have someone as the CBN governor. When the name is written, you will see FEA, F. What are they actually doing? Are these just titles without brain? I really no. Thank you.
Thank you, Tajuddin from Magbo.
He cracked us up.
So I think Tajuddin's questions and Edward Bayomi's question is almost similar, right? But I think, yes, right. I know there are a lot of very brilliant people on the economic team. One of them I respect so much, Bismarck Rewane, right? But you would also see Bismarck Rewane come out and say this is the advice we've given them. Now, an advisory team is to give advices. Implementation is usually by the political class. So there would always remain a clash between them and the advisors, right? So as much as possible, you can have the best team try to come up with policies. Now, there are also two ways to it: implementation and enforcement. Now, you can have people sign off on documents and say, oh, approved, let's implement. But how do we enforce? Those are critical questions that we need to ask ourselves. For me, I do not like to think of it as a direct sabotage, right? But I always try to think of it as just some sort of political unwillingness. So we have people in power that perhaps don't understand what they've signed up for, or they are not just ready to create that change. I would also say this, right? There's a lot of effort at keeping people at the mercy of political office holders. So the moment there are policies that makes them self-dependent, not begging for 5 naira and 10 naira, then there's a major will for them to chase them out of office. But when people are hungry, then they don't focus on removing those that are there. Everybody. So what they've done is to keep everybody in this country on survival mode.
Right. On Facebook, Ifeanyi Wochuku says, have you asked why Benin Republic is the largest importer of Chinese rice and Nigeria is the largest consumer of same rice?
Samson U. Joseph said, beautiful morning, my people. I am Samson U. Joseph. Our guest has said it all. To make our country work, make the country attractive. Honestly, policymakers in this country are reactive and emotional. Their parameters to measure economic growth is by the amount of money they are stealing per month or per year. Uncle Lai Mohammed will ban Twitter because the salary comes in Ghana must go bags. Well, I'm not sure where you saw him taking his salary in Ghana must go bags. But then he continued by saying, I don't see these current leaders improving the economy. I'm just happy because Nigerian youth are smarter. Let me stop here, Jerry. It is well, though. Thank you very much, Samson. You, Joseph. Ola Joel said this government is a propaganda government. There is nothing like conducive business environment except we want to lie to ourselves. How conducive is it to live in Nigeria? An average Nigerian or a business owner is a local government on his own. We provide our own electricity, water, security, and other basic amenities that are supposed to be put in place by the government. This government has lost it from the onset. This country is just wasting Nigeria's talent. With this kind of people in leadership, I don't think we will make an headway economically, security-wise, and socio-politically. God will help us. So, Olajuwon from Itaoshin. Okay, let me see if I can squeeze this in. Finally, Nicholas initially said, let us forget El Salvador now and even compete with Rwanda and Ethiopia. He now said Bismarck Rwani and Ajurin Galali suffered the pain of being in a kitchen with ingredients but not being the chief cook. Thank you very much, Nicholas.
Well, Ifeanyi Wuchuku, who I believe is also Nicholas, is asking on Facebook whether TUNJI GBESAN can highlight Soludo's redenomination, or is that redenomination policy? Well, there's no time, so we're going to have to leave that unanswered. But thank you very much, TUNJI GBESAN, for your time with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Lola. Thank you, Boyega.
It's good to have you. We'll be back after this time out. Please stay with us. We still have one more message on Facebook, but we'll take it when we get back.
Don't dare touch that dial. It's Splash, your integrity station.
Ohun tí kò kúnni lójú ó ṣeé ṣe kó kúnni lẹ́nu níléeṣẹ́ àgbájọ Homes and Property Nigeria Limited wọ́n ní àwọn ti ṣe tán báyìí láti sọlẹ̀ àwọn di ọ̀pọ̀ kọ́yọ̀kú fún gbogbo ènìyàn. Ilé òṣèlè Gusi Estate ti di 100,000 naira báyìí, Ìkìrìkú Ìdán 100,000 láìra plọ̀tì, bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ilẹ̀ Ranga náà ti di 100,000 naira. Èyí tí wọ́n ti fún yín láǹfààní láti rí àwọn ohun èlò ìkọ́lé lówó tí kò ga jọra lọ. Ẹ sì lè máa san díẹ̀ títí ó fi parí ilé yín. Ilé oko àpèsè ọbọ̀dà ìdíẹ̀mẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta lórí 40.
You Fit Fly brings to you another wonder as we embark on a holy pilgrimage to the Kingdom of Jordan. Of course, you have been to Jerusalem a number of times as instructed by the New Testament, but this pilgrimage to Jordan will help you complete your holy pilgrimage according to the Old Testament. Remember, River Jordan is where Jesus Christ was baptized by John the Baptist, and a number of historical sites mentioned in the Bible, like the point where Prophet Elijah was taken up by chariot of fire, as well as Mount Nebo where Moses stood to view the promised land, and the point where he struck the rock to bring forth water for the Israelites, and the miraculous Dead Sea, and a host of others. The holy pilgrimage to Jordan is slated for Tuesday 14th to Tuesday 21st September 2021, as led by evangelist J.A. Adelakun Ayawa. Visit your Fit Fly office now, 68B Awolowo Avenue, opposite Fed Adventure Palace, Ìsàlẹ̀ Ìgbẹ̀yìn, Abẹ́òkúta. Telephone 081-3378-5934.
gbọ́ mi sà gbogbo ènìyàn tó gbọ́ mi lásìkò yìí ó pariwo tó ó gbàdúrà ó sọ wípé ọlọ́run ó jẹ́ oore kan ṣo ló kù lọ́dọ̀ rẹ ilé mi lọ́wọ́ kóre mi ó lè lẹ́kan sí àdúrà.
iléeṣẹ́ IAS ṣàǹfẹ́ kí gbogbo wa ó ṣoríire àníkóore gbogbo wa ó tún lè lẹ́kan sí Nigeria at 61 IAS 61 days mega promo. ẹ wá gbọ́ o ẹ̀dínwó aláìlẹ́gbẹ́ 61 days mega promo yìí ọjọ́ mẹ́wàá àkọ́kọ́ máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ àdúrà rẹ ti gbà oore rẹ ti lẹ́kan sí.
Believe International School Calling. Believe International School Calling. Believe International School Calling. If you desire a modern day and government approved nursery and primary school for your child with conducive and serene learning environments, well equipped computer laboratory, classrooms, equipment Montessori teaching aids being handled by professional and friendly teachers, spacious playing ground with sporting kits, music laboratory with different musical instruments, why not register your child at Believe International School? Believe International School is located at Rock City Avenue, Goshen Estate, Ashero. Telephone 0803-318-6411.
ẹ wá gbọ́ bí mo ṣe ń wí níbi káàtà lẹ́tọ́ wá pa the Homes and Properties ní ká lọ wọn kì í talẹ̀ kan fẹ́ni ní ìlọ́hùn náà fi ń tajà tiwọn ìwé lọ́nà tí tọ́ ọ̀nà àlá. àlàáfíà.
simple ẹ tẹ̀lé mi ká lọ o.
ká lọ bá àwọn dòwò pọ̀ Dewey Homes and Properties nílùú Ẹ̀gbálé.
gbogbo ilẹ̀ Dewey Homes and Properties ló gbàgbé tán àbí san díẹ̀díẹ̀. a wà ní 24 Nawarudin Road ládojúkọ Nawarudin High School Ìṣàbọ̀ Abẹ́òkúta 08161411190 tàbí 09125242235. Dewey Homes and Properties. Ẹni mọ̀nà ni ẹjọ́ fi yín mọ̀nà.
We educate. That's why we are respected.
Still Panorama on the Integrity Station Splash 106.7 FM. We trust you've been following us since 8 o'clock when we began with our issue of the day, where we took a critical look at the falling value of the naira. And just maybe to bring it home in perhaps more simplistic terms, because, I feel like some people may have been lost as much as we try to break it down to simple language. The other day I went to buy shoes, right? Now, I buy thrift a lot. If you don't know what thrift is, I'm not ashamed to say that thrift is secondhand clothing. So I went to buy shoes, and I was surprised at the price that the vendor told me the shoes cost. And when I asked why, he said because the naira was worth less, by the time they would go across the border to trade, to purchase these goods, it would cost more than they had gotten it before. So that's what happens when the price of the naira to the dollar keeps increasing. It means that the naira is worth less. So when you use it to buy or purchase any goods that is gotten from another country, it means that you have less to work with and seen as virtually affected in one way or the other. But that's about major newspapers, and I've got The Nation.
I have with me here the Nigerian Tribune.